What's going on, guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name's Michael Roman. You know, sometimes there's an Easter egg right in front of your face, and because you don't know what you're looking at, it's impossible to see. And other times, the directors make it specifically impossible to see, even though it is there, given the lighting and or other things going on in the scene, it would be impossible without knowing what to look for to find it. I think that may be the case with today's scene, as it's surely been seen at this point by countless millions of viewers, countless millions of times, both on streaming and DVD, but with the little help of video magic, we're going to lighten, brighten, and or enhance the scene through contrast and take a look at what's really going on and some very, very small details in a specific scene in Infinity War that I think not only serve as an Easter egg for Captain America's death, but prove his death and or time travel at the same time. Before we get into all of this and break it down, if you could grab the subscribe button, we're giving away 2 PlayStation 4 Pros, as well as a whole slew of other Marvel related stuff that's going to be announced later this month. If you want to win, all you have to do, hit the subscribe button, leave a like and a comment on this video, then hit the notification bell and stick around to the end of the video. I'll get into all the giveaway stuff again there. So as I said, there's a specific scene in Infinity War I want to focus on, and that's when Gamora and Thanos get to Vormir. Now, I'm sure at this point, you guys all know this scene like the back of your hand. Met by Red Skull, he tells them in order to obtain the Soul Stone, they've got to sacrifice something they love. Thanos turns around, he's crying. Gamora says, "Tears, really?" Red Skull, "They're not for him." He grabs Gamora by the wrist and throws her over the edge. Now, obviously, this is an extremely important scene for Thanos' character arc. It proves that he has the capacity for love, allows us, the audience, a chance to empathize with Thanos as an anti-hero, someone who believes in what he's doing rather than an all-out villain hell-bent by greed or selfishness, and in that same moment of empathy, seals Thanos' fate as he sacrifices the one last thing on Earth that he truly loves. Now, there's so much going on in the scene, both the death of a major character of the Guardians of the Galaxy and all of this poignant stuff with Thanos' character arc, that it would be impossible to notice the Easter eggs I'm going to present. Yes, eggs, there's plural, here for Captain America's death. Also would like to mention, this is an unaltered version of Infinity War, this screenshot right here. With a little studio magic, I threw it into my video editor, I boosted the saturation and the brightness, also enhanced the contrast. Look at this. Now this is a much, much brighter shot. Now remember, they're on Vormir. There's no sun. I think there is like a sun in the sky that's fully eclipsed at one point. So it's meant to be dark. Also, the scene and the setting are meant to mirror and thusly enhance Gamora's death, but it just happens to be a side product as well that it helps mask these Easter eggs. So let's jump over to the screenshot of Gamora at the bottom of the sacrifice pit on Vormir. So this is within milliseconds of when they flash to Gamora first at the bottom of the pit. And many people have noticed that there is what looks like dried blood up to the right of Gamora. But there's also 2 other things in this scene that I want to point out. And of course, I think it would be easier. Let's go ahead and stick it back through my filter. Very nice. And in doing so, we've more clearly illuminated to the top right what looks like dried but still fresh red blood. To the right of that, the circular object I pointed out with the top arrow, and to the bottom right of Gamora, the cylindrical object I pointed out with the second smaller arrow. Before we zoom in on these, let's back up just a tick. Whether you've seen or not seen my video called The Sacrifice in Avengers Endgame, going back some 8 months following the end of Infinity War, people started to propose theories, and there were 2 plot leaks that included Captain America sacrificing himself in order to help Tony obtain the Soul Stone. As the story goes, in the plot leaks and the theories alike, Captain America and Tony will go back in time and travel to Vormir upon gaining the knowledge that the Soul Stone is there. When they get there, they will be met by Red Skull, the same way that Thanos and Gamora were the first time, and it will be up to one of them to sacrifice the other for the Soul Stone. Tony will be ready to make that sacrifice, but instead, Captain America will do the deed and jump over the edge himself. Now, for the sake of being thorough, this theory isn't just pulled out of thin air. It's actually predicated on 2 important facts. The first one being Steve Rogers' main character arc that starts in the first Avenger. When Steve jumps on this dummy grenade, not only does he prove to be as courageous as the Doctor thinks he is, but this is actually the moment where he earns the chance to become Captain America. Later, this sentiment is reiterated when he tells Tony, "You're not the one to lay down on the wire and make the sacrifice play." The idea of the sacrifice has surrounded Steve Rogers since he begun. Now, we've all seen a character arc in which he's begun to question blind allegiance as a soldier to his government, to S.H.I.E.L.D., taking matters into his own hands, believing that anything can be corrupted, but believing in himself as true good and knowing as long as he follows in his heart what he knows is right, then he can't be corrupted by outside forces instructing him to do otherwise. Both of these things predicate him staying true to this good nature and making the sacrifice play that he was ready to make in the first Avenger. Of course, this makes sense. Now, jumping back to this screenshot and looking at it through the lens of the plot leaks and the theories alike, with the concrete evidence of Captain America's through arc and the idea that Chris Evans is retiring from the Captain America role with his heartfelt sign off from Twitter, a lot of fans guessing that he's going to die in this movie. Let's go ahead and zoom in on these two objects. Now, the first one I want to look at is down here at the bottom by Gamora. What does this look like to you? Because it certainly looks like a boot to me, especially considering that the nearest object to it is another boot on Gamora's leg. Now, if you notice, the boot on Gamora's leg is black, this boot is certainly brown, and there's only one member of the Avengers who wears tall brown boots. You guessed it, Captain America. Now, let's shift over to this circle object here over to the right. Could this be Captain America's shield? You can undoubtedly see the outline of a circular object, and in the middle what looks like an arm strap in order to hold the shield. Given the evidence of the blood leading right to this and what looks like a brown boot, perhaps this is the sacrifice that Captain America made. Now, the very first argument that would go against this theory is, well, A, where's Captain America? And B, how did this happen beforehand? But remember, the next movie is supposed to include time travel. So should they go around trying to snatch all the stones from before when Thanos obtains them, then the sacrifice of Captain America in a time loop sense would have happened before Gamora and Thanos got there the very first time. Now, no pun intended, if you go in circles and think about time loops, you'll literally go nuts, and it's super hard to explain how something can happen after something but also before it in a time loop sense. Perhaps this is the beginning of the time loop, and the director specifically wanted to leave those keys there so the keen-eye viewer would know that it's coming. Also, to add validity to the idea of time travel, as I've said since the very beginning of this channel, if you're going to include time travel in a universe that's 20 movies and 10 years deep, you need to have evidence of said time travel set up in previous movies so that it's not a complete MacGuffin, a complete problem solver out of nowhere in the very last film. Even something as sloppily put together as Batman vs. Superman in the DCEU included that scene where the Flash went back in time. He says he's too early because presumably Zack Snyder was setting Superman up to be a villain in his idea of what the universe would become. Now, granted, those plans didn't come together, and that's the risk you run when you seed something so far back for something so far in the future. It may never come together, and then the Easter egg gets lost. However, this late in the game, the Russos know they were surely safe, considering also not only were these movies written at the same time to be two pieces of one, but rather also shot simultaneously as to avoid A, they're looking like time differences in the movie as they're meant to take place simultaneously, asterisk, unless there's that time jump that we all assumed, and B, because the storyline is one complete through arc, meaning they would know if Captain America was going to die in this next film. It's not like they had to seed this into the first Avengers, although if you take what I said at face value, it seems as though they've been seeding this, like I said, since the very first Avenger, that Captain America first movie. You guys let me know what you think in the comments, please. A, is this a boot and a shield? B, is the dried blood, the boot, and the shield enough evidence to convince you the directors are trying to give us an Easter egg for Captain America's death? C, do you think Cap is going to die? If you don't agree with any of this, also let me know in the comments why. And if it's not Cap, who do you think, who is number one on your death prediction list? Quickly, before I let you go, let's get into the giveaway stuff. Okay, so with the 150 and the 200,000 subscriber marks, which are coming up real quick here, we're giving away PlayStation 4 Pros. We're also announcing a ton of new Marvel giveaways here at the channel in the next month or so. If you want to win any of that or the PlayStations, all you got to do, hit the subscribe button, then leave a like and a comment on the video, hit the notification bell, because the more videos that you like and comment on, the better chance you have of winning. My name's Michael Roman. This is Everything Always. Thanks for checking out the channel. If you've been with me since the very first video, I cannot thank you enough. A lot of you love to tell me that, and I seriously want to thank every one of you. If you're just finding my channel for the first time, stick around. We'll be posting again real soon.